My name is Bethan McHugh. I'm a member of the Modern Languages subject team at WJEC Eduqas. We have produced this short series of videos to support the teaching and learning of GCE Modern Languages. This video is going to show you what we have available in our Language Toolkit and how you can use this to produce resources for use in class. Our Language Toolkit is a bank of tools that allows teachers to use their own text, either text that you have written yourself, text from our own resources, or text that you'd have copied and pasted in, to generate a range of language-based activities, such as jumbled words and jumbled paragraph activities, hide the words, which are gap fills, and then the opportunities to categorize text and write notes. So, as I've mentioned, our toolkit allows teachers to use their own text. This means you can use any text that you like or that you've been studying in class, or even that students have written themselves, to generate a range of activities. You can, if you wish, paste in news articles or any information that you found, or indeed you can copy and paste any of the texts or transcripts from our literary, film or thematic resources. Our toolkit allows you to create gap fill activities to use immediately in class, and activities such as rearranging the sentence or paragraph. There's also an option for note-taking and categorizing text as well, which may come in handy when you wish to separate different grammar points, for example. There are two different ways of accessing the toolkit from our Eduqas website. The first is to click on the drop-down box, find a qualification, and select French, German or Spanish. As you can see here, I've selected French. And then when you get to this page, you choose AS or A-level. You then come to our overview page for AS and A-level French, which offers the specifications and sample assessment materials. You need to click on the Digital Resources tab, which is highlighted here. This then takes you to a page offering you all our resources, and you will then select the French language tools. An alternative way of accessing the resources is via the Digital Resources tab on the main page of the Eduqas website. You then select French, German or Spanish and Key Stage 5 from the drop-down option boxes. And then this takes you to the overall menu page, which looks slightly different from the other one, this time with pictures, and you click on the text tools. The first activity that we're going to look at on the toolkit is how to create a jumbled words activity. As you can see here, we've got some jumbled up sentences which have been taken from a text, and it allows you to either use a mouse or a pen on an interactive whiteboard to move these around. We're now going to have a look at how you would create one of these resources. So first of all, you click on the jumbled words section of the language tools, which takes you to initially some Latin. The first thing you do is click on edit text, which allows you then to look at this text and delete it, which is the first thing that I'm going to do. You can then type in your own text, as I'm doing here, or paste in some text from elsewhere. In fact, I have some text from the specification in English. You then lock the text, and then you ask to randomly select 3 sentences. You can keep clicking randomly select 3 sentences until you have the 3 sentences that you like, because you may not like the initial choices. Once you're satisfied with your choice, you can click Start Activity. And that then gives you 3 sentences that are jumbled up. You can then move the words around to try and put these into correct order. You can watch me now trying to put this English sentence into the correct order. And as you can see, the full stop always stays at the end and the capital letter always stays at the start, so we've got no clues given away there. When that's done, you can check and it will tell you how you've done so far. You can then obviously carry on and complete the rest of the sentences, ask it to check them for you, and then you can reset it and go back and attempt the activity again. The next activity that we're going to look at is how to create a jumbled paragraph. As you can see, similar to the jumbled words, this has actually taken the entire text and jumbled it up, which allows you, either with a mouse or with a pen on an interactive whiteboard, to rearrange the text into the correct order. You have the option to see it as a complete paragraph or to see it in individual lines. We're now going to have a look at how you would create one of these resources yourself. Okay, so the next activity, we need to click on Jumbled Paragraph. This then takes us to a similar page as before. We click on Edit Text, which obviously turns the box a different colour. And then we have the Latin that we want to delete, so we're going to get rid of that. You once again have your option to type in your own word or paste in your own text. As before, I've got some information from the specification in English that I'm pasting in. Once that's pasted in, we need to lock the text. So at the bottom, we click on Lock Text, and then we are able to start the activity. As you can see, it jumbles up the entire paragraph for me to reorder. If you may find that that's quite difficult for your students to look at, you also have the option to show the text as lines. So obviously you could do it in this way that you're reordering it here. As you can see, I'm trying to put all of the words into different order. But you can obviously move it then into words as lines, which may be slightly easier. Also, then you could obviously copy and paste that and print those out as well, which would allow you to cut them up for students to arrange on paper if you preferred. And that then again works in exactly the same way. So you have two options within that activity. Once again, then you can check it as you're going through and it will tell you how you're doing. 2 out of 12, not so well at the moment. And obviously you can reset it, go back to show it as a block if you prefer, or as I've said, you could copy it and print it and use it elsewhere. And that's a reusable activity that gives you the option to keep going back and forth with different texts, to move things around and to change the words. The next activity that we're going to look at is hide the words drag and drop. This activity offers you the opportunity to make a gap fill, as you can see here. And we're now going to look at how you would create one of these resources and how it could be used. Okay, for the next activity, we need to click on Hide the Words, Drag and Drop. As before, we have Latin text that's there, so the first thing that we need to do is edit the text and delete what's there. You're then able to type in once again your own information or paste straight in what you would like. The text must be locked and then you click on Choose 10 random words. And it will very kindly choose 10 random words for you. If you would prefer 10 different words, you can click again and it will choose other words for you. But you can start the activity and that then instantly creates a gap fill for you. You can then drag and drop the words from the right-hand side across to try to fit them in the right boxes. You can then, obviously, as you're going through, check and reset your answers. And obviously go back and perhaps remove some sentences or change different words. This obviously allows students as well to make their own resources, to type in their own French, Spanish or German and make their own resources quickly as well, to swap with each other in class. And as you're seeing, you can go through and check your answers here. I've got 3 out of 10. We're now going to look at hide the words text input, which is a similar activity to the drag and drop, but this time you have the chance to write the French, German or Spanish yourselves. The next resource is the hide the words text input, which works in a very similar way to the previous gap fill. Once again, you can edit the text and add in your own French, Spanish or German as appropriate. You lock the text, exactly the same as before with the previous one, and you choose 10 random words. If you're not keen on the words it's chosen, you can obviously ask it to keep going until you have a different set of words, and you have the option to type in now the words into your spaces. As well as obviously typing in individual letters, we also have the option to open up special characters, which will allow you to have all the accents that you need for French, Spanish and German. and here they are. So that gives students no excuse to remember their accents, which they're obviously very quick to do a lot of the time. And all of those will go in quite quickly. And that should be very straightforward. It also offers you the option to do capitals as well, if needs be. You can then, in exactly the same way, check and continue all of your work. And you can copy and paste those. You can print them out. And you can, reuse those as many times as you like with different words each time. Okay, we're now having a look at the categorize text option. As you can see, we've got the same text that's been pasted in. At the bottom of the page, you can see you have an option to edit the text, edit the notes, add a selection to my notes. You can edit notes and rename the notes to give them appropriate titles. For example, it might be a specific grammar point or a theme. You can also add extra note pages if you would like as well, to put extra tabs so you have more options. You can then highlight items of text that may be relevant, and then you can choose which note you would like to add your selection here. In this example, we're matching text up to different people, but what you could do, for example, is different grammar points, and then you could highlight them and drag them and put them into the separate categories. And then when you click on that tab that we've added it to, as you can see, the note has then been put there, and you can then look at all of those examples afterwards. So that's quite a handy tool in class to be able to, for example, exploit different grammar points where you're looking for a certain tense or a certain type of word or item of vocabulary. And then you ask students to find those, you highlight them and you move them into the certain categories. And then you can look at them afterwards, you could review them, you could potentially copy and paste them and print them from there and take them as vocabulary lists to learn, etc. So it gives you the option to pull apart a text that you've been looking at in a slightly different way. A similar option that's available to the categorized text is also the note writing activity. We have the same text that's been pasted in, and initially, as you can see, this looks very similar to the previous activity of categorizing text. This time, however, you've got the option to create your own notes and actually write text and put it in. As you can see, you then have the option to type in your own information, and then it can go into the different tabs of notes that you have. So very similar to the categorizing text, but instead of clicking on different items of language in a text and adding it in, this one also offers you the option to type your own information in as well, which then allows you, for example, perhaps to put definitions in of words, or perhaps to put in some extra notes that may well then, as I've said, be copied and pasted and taken off and printed as, a learning resource for your students. We hope that you found the training video on the toolkit useful. If you would like some further information on our other resources, please watch our introduction to AS and A-level resources, which is a video that gives you details of everything that's available. We also have a resource on the teacher guide, which explains exactly what's available to you within the teacher guide and how that can support teaching and learning. We explain our resources for AS and A-level themes, and also the availability of the AS and A-level film and literature resources and how those cover all of the different areas of study and different films. If you have any questions about any area of the new specification or about our resources or any of the ways in which we support teaching and learning, please do get in touch. Amanda Roberts and Carl Sage are our subject officers. Candice, Gillian and Claire, the subject support officers. You can contact everybody, as you can see, through the email address languages@eduqas.co.uk.